Hi guys, it's Amber Charisse and welcome back to Letters TV, an extension of Letters from My Mama. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're watching this episode, I mean, you made it all the way to the end of season 4. And I thank y'all so much for supporting me and showing up season after season. I'm just so thankful. And if you've been watching, you know, this season we have a sponsor, That Good Peace, the luxury relaxation brand that promotes peace, mental healthiness, intentional mood, and all that good stuff. And tonight's featured candle is the signature. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, there we go. A lot of bitter peace. It smells so good. And I thought that was so fitting for tonight because here at Letters, we promote healing early, just mental healthiness, and all of that good stuff. And we have to end every season talking to one of my favorite therapists. And tonight we have Jennifer Langston. You have met her before in season 1. And we're just going to catch up with her, recap the season, and all that good stuff. So let's just welcome her. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Amber.
So how are you doing? You have on your letters yellow. I'm just loving it tonight.
Yes, I had to fit the occasion. Yes, I am blessed. I feel good. I feel great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And it's always great to see you.
Same.
And we saw you last. So this is 2022 and 2019, pre-pandemic, right? Right at the end, right before everything popped off. So what's different? What's new? Give us some updates.
So, since I was last seen by you all, I wrote a book. I wrote my first children's book. It's called Antsy Agatha, and Antsy Agatha is available anywhere online books are sold. So that's your Amazon, your Barnes and Noble, Walmart online, Target online. Check it out. It's about a 7-year-old girl who displays symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is commonly diagnosed in children around that age group. So check it out. It shows how her symptoms evolve, how therapy helps her cope. So it's a good book, good teaching tool.
It really is. And Bella, my avid reader, she was
Aww.
so pumped to meet an author, like a real author, and get her book signed. And she went home and read it. And what the thing I like about it is that she didn't know anything about ADHD prior to. And it was a good conversation starter. And I think she was able to also identify. And even if your child is not suffering, it's a great like educational tool so that they'll know what's going on with maybe some of their peers. They'll be educated and not judgmental of them, and maybe can assist them in different ways. So I think you were on the money with that one. That was really good.
Thank you so much. Love Bella.
She loves you. She loves you. So in the spirit, talking about Bella, I made letters just as a tool to promote healing early, to start those hard conversations, bridging the gap between generations. And a part of that, everyone knows my story by now. If you don't, I'm going to keep saying it so that we can understand why we're here. I was raped at 17. I did not feel I had a safe space to come and to talk to my parents about it, to tell anyone, until I went to therapy in my 30s, around 31. And that's when I was able to open up and tell my parents. So I think I want to start with that. And I think that if I had told someone at 17, those childhood traumas could have started to heal early. They wouldn't have showed up in my relationships or in college so just talk about, healing early from childhood traumas and the benefit.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you were able to get the help you needed. It is not an easy task. And we're human beings, we're emotional beings, and our body stores trauma in ways that we may not even notice. I'm sure you can relate as a survivor of how energy and trauma was stored in your body and what it does to our brain. And we may cope in unhealthy ways, but recognizing the signs, right, as when somebody's, isolated or withdrawn, can make all the difference in getting them some help. Getting help, regardless of what age, can still be very effective. It's not when you get it, it's more so getting it at all and getting the resources so you can get in there and you can tell your story and someone can help you process and then develop healthy tools around helping you cope.
Right. So I wanted to sit and recap episode by episode,
Okay.
but one thing that I think was clear in all of my episodes was some sort of trauma or
Mm,
grief. Or we had an episode where we talked about the opioid epidemic and self medicating. And one thing that he said in that episode is that the people that turn to addicts is normally because some sort of pain, either physical or mental, emotional.
mhm.
Um, so, what are some ways that we can just cope with trauma um, before it gets that far? Like before we're self medicating, before we're isolating? Like, what are some healthy tools?
That's a good question, Amber. Some good healthy tools would be finding a trusted support. This could be a friend. This could be, some people go on the internet and talk to complete strangers, but within a safe, healthy context. Another good source of support, a good coping strategy. And a lot of my clients before they met me said they've either read about it, they've done their own research on themselves and found books or movies that relate to their trauma as ways to understand themselves. Another healthy coping strategy, of course, is therapy. We know that can be a good vessel for healing and sitting with a certified professional because trauma is so delicate and it has played such a big role in your life and the way you govern yourself in relationships and the way you parent and the way you go throughout life or the way you see the world. You may see the world as unsafe, and a therapist can really help you change your worldview and give you strategies in order for you to feel safe and to have empowerment from your story, in order to cope with the trauma.
I love that. Empowerment from your story. And it takes a while to find a voice, but I think all those things definitely help you. And in the spirit of talking about childhood traumas and just growing up in general, I know episode one, I spoke to my mom and I spoke to her at the end of season one. So it's kind of like a recap. And I also sat down and had an intergenerational discussion with my husband, my
Mhm.
father in law. So we had the 40s, the 60s. We had Lamille, he's in his 30s, and then my son Jayden. So he's a teenager. Just getting those male perspectives. And one thing my mom and I talked about is that she lost her dad at a young age.
Mm.
She was 4 years old and she's the baby. So she didn't have any, she said she never grew up feeling protected by men. She said she was an adult, like in her 40s, she said her brother, who was in jail for like most of her life, kissed her on the forehead. And she said that was the first time she connected with a man that didn't want anything in return. And that's a very important feeling for a little girl. And she feels like since she was not protected, that she got married at 18 and she just made these rash choices and decisions because she didn't have that male bond. So I asked the men a similar question, like how they grew up with their mothers and how that shaped their relationship. So what do you think about that? What we experienced as kids?
Um, I think that bonding is so important, especially between a parent and their child and a mother and their son. Again, this helps us evolve throughout the years. It governs the way we develop emotional intelligence, right? I know, remember you saying earlier in our conversation, that well, along the lines that boys who share like a healthy relationship with their mothers from early childhood are or can grow up to be more emotionally strong and believed to have less behavioral problems in their life. That strong bond aids in a sense of security and confidence.
Hmm.
Yeah. And if we're insecure or we have hostile or aggressive relationships, this can deter us from establishing goals, among others. It may teach us to see the opposite sex or the sex of our parent that we have a dysfunctional relationship with in a different way, in a
That's
negative way.
very true. That's very true. I know another thing we discussed this season where I didn't write a letter to my mom, but one thing I said to my mom, Is that I didn't feel safe mentally, of course, like growing up, like
Mm-hmm.
protected. But also, she didn't have a healthy like body image. She didn't have self love. So when I watched her and how she viewed herself in the mirror, I mirrored that. And I think that's why I didn't learn to love myself until I was in my 30s. And we met Allie this season on our teen episode, and she's like, I'm 18 and I might not be able to fit these jeans, but my eyebrows and my hair. And I'm like, girl, all this stuff, I just wish.
Yes.
But then it made me really think like, that's why it wasn't, that was not, I didn't see that. That was not shown to me growing up. And I told my mom that I'm really, really intentional now about making sure that Bella, loves what she sees. So what are some tips and how can we show up basically as a parent that we want it and be intentional about creating safe spaces for our children?
I think what you're doing is so important, like just discussing it. A lot of times we were kind of like stay in a child's place, right? Or don't worry about those things. Those are adult issues. No, these are real life issues and they impact us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about boys right now. You'll grow into it. Or don't worry about your nose right now. You'll grow into it. Stuff
Right.
like that. But no, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how everybody doesn't have the typical, what is it, European, pointy nose. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about your nose. What's special about your nose? What's special about your features? And
Right.
no, they may not look like everybody else, but they work for you.
Right.
I think the more we talk about insecurities and acknowledging that they're insecurities instead of brushing them off to the side as something we don't worry about or teaching our children not to worry about, we can address them and we can have healthy conversations around insecurity and building confidence.
I like that you said that because we just think about things like colorism and how just growing up a chocolate girl, like you
Yeah.
would hear like, don't go in that sun, and like it's just like so much like, do y'all realize what y'all saying to us and how this is like?
Yes.
So you're right. I think having those conversations
Yeah.
early.
And like you said, it was said to them. So that didn't just fall from the sky. That is part of their story and their trauma that they're keeping inside and projecting onto us.
Mm-hmm.
When reality, being chocolate is a bomb.
It is.
And I'm
It
pretty sure
is.
being any shade of black is bomb. Um,
Understand.
and we have to
Understand.
acknowledge it. But yeah, having those conversations. Yes, we were teased for, the color of our skin within our own race.
Mm-hmm.
However, that does not mean you're less than. You're
Right.
beautiful.
Absolutely. And I think that the hard conversations are what break generational curses.
Amen.
Hey y'all! This episode is brought to you by That Good Peace, the luxury relaxation brand promoting peace, mental healthiness, and presence. Be sure to head over to thatgoodpeace.com to check out all of our handmade candles, teas, and essential oils to levitate your senses, teleport your mind, and manifest your mood. This week's featured candle is A Lot of Bitter Peace, the signature. To experience this candle for yourself, use the code LFMM4 at checkout for 20% off all of our products.
Amen.
So we talked to Erica. Erica, we met last season. She was on our trauma episode. She was on our girl boss episode. And she had experienced childhood traumas. And in this season, we talked to her about her journey being a teen mom. And she was just saying she's not the typical case of struggle, but she also didn't get to do things like prom and different things like that. And one of the questions I asked her was advice she can give to a teenage couple that I met. One is a sophomore, one is a senior, that have had a public breakup at school. How can they navigate co-parenting when they're not even adults? Like, what are some tips, like when you're thrown into adult situations as a child, essentially?
When you're thrown into adult situations as a child, meaning like pregnancy, like that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. First,
Co-parenting.
you said what?
co-parenting.
co-parenting, things like that. The first thing to do is make sure you're safe, like consult a professional. Absolutely. Apart from, just being a parent, we want to make sure that diseases, right, are not an option. We just want everybody to be safe
Right.
in terms of pregnancy. Another um, suggestion would be to find like a trusted adult. It could be very hard to do it alone, whether that adult is a therapist or a doctor who might connect you to maybe a caseworker or some kind of other mentor. But definitely would be good to consult somebody who has done this before.
So there was a TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and in this TikTok, it was two teenagers. They were having a baby. They walked in their high school cafeteria and they had this surprise gender reveal, surprise baby shower for the couple. And the internet was in an uproar. Like, everybody that likes this, you're praising and putting teen pregnancy on a pedestal. But I think that what we liked is that it was a tribe. It was a village. We're behind you. You shouldn't feel ashamed. And I think that we spoke about this earlier. Education, the education of it all, like, can take away some of the ignorance and some of the stigma. So what are some ways that we can speak to our kids instead of instilling fear in them about sex so that they might not be in the situation?
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And I love that they did that, acknowledging them. Yes, we're not ignoring it. We're gone are the days we're sending you down south to have the baby in
Right.
private. Yes,
It
right.
happened.
Like it didn't happen. It happens. We're humans. We're emotional. We're sexual beings, right? We can't ignore it. It doesn't just go away. And I think it's important for parents to have healthy attitudes when talking about sex to their children, acknowledging that there will be urges. You're not an alien, or we don't. I don't, I almost cursed. I can't curse on here. Okay, I can curse. Okay, it's within context though. Okay, like we're not gonna damn you to hell.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
we're not gonna damn you to hell.
No, that's real.
Yes, because you engage in what your body responded to.
Mm-hmm.
Discussing sex as a part of life, and it can be a beautiful thing when you're with the right person or with somebody you trust and feel safe with. Know that it is just your choice as much as it is somebody's request.
Right.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
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 Yes, and attitudes and beliefs. Yeah.
That's what I was going to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not in fear, if we're in that situation, we're not going to have condoms. We're not going to have this because we weren't prepared. Our parents said just no. And now we're here unprepared. And I think that's why it's important to have those conversations, because I think this is what my mom said. Mm-hmm. She believed if she had the conversation with me, it would happen. It never happened. And you still, that wasn't going to make it happen. Just have the conversation with your child so that they're prepared for life.
Absolutely, because gone are the days it doesn't exist. Gone are the days are ignored. No.
Right.
And you're surrounded by it, right? TV, social media, your friends, sometimes even teachers, right?
Right.
You can't escape it. And the sooner we acknowledge that sex is a part of life, sex may happen. We hope that it is your choice, and it is always your choice, even though somebody can make you feel like it's not. And It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say yes too.
Right. So these teenagers, we're going to stick on this. Keep talking about the teens, because that's what I started this for anyway. They just went through something really crazy with this pandemic, like in virtual school. And this was the first year they were back in person. And just talk about that. Like, how is it? Some tips for them to navigate their new normal. Because I find that some of them are still in that funk. Some of them are like shocks. I know my son went from middle school. He did not have the 9th grade transition right into, he was right up there. And it's kind of hard. So just talk about navigating this new normal, and combating depression and anxiety.
Absolutely. It seems like this new normal is here to stay for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I tell my teen clients that I work with is everybody needs something to look forward to each day. Whatever that is. When you get up in the morning, what is it going to be? Is it going to be seeing my friends at school? Is it going to be, okay, today's Taco Tuesday in the caf? I don't know if they have tacos, but what is your something to look forward to? Then that creates motivation around the day, right? And you don't plan for the whole week, just for today. How can we get through today? What is my something to look forward to?
I like that.
Also, it's good to have routines. I know it can be cliche and a little tiring to have a routine, but they really work, especially when things are just going so haywire around you. Remembering your schedule, having a time and a place, right, that you're supposed to be, or having a daily ritual you engage in. Okay, I know I get up in the morning, I take a shower or a wash up, I eat breakfast, I, may listen to some type of meditation or something funny in the morning to get my day started. I know I'll be at school at this time. I know I'll, pack my favorite snack and I'll eat that after lunch. But just having a schedule, something to look forward to, and an outlet, right? What can you do? What can you do that's a healthy activity, right? After school or during school. So some people like to play sports. Some people like to, the gamers, what is it called? Not Call of Duty.
I don't know, girl.
Whatever they do.
Call of Duty. That's what we're going to say.
Call of Duty. Okay, Call of Duty. Whatever it is, go for
NBA 2K.
Yes, that. Doing hair, I don't know. Whatever it is, always have an outlet. I think these are small changes we could make that bring about a big difference in the way we manage depression or we manage anxiety or just uncertainty about our day.
Right. I like that. I had a therapist tell me before that depression is staying in the past. Anxiety is going too far in the future. So I like that you're keeping them present by making this a daily routine. You don't have to go too far ahead, because then they're going to be like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to write for Friday? And then you're anxious again. So you're absolutely right. Staying in the present.
Yes, mindfulness. Yes.
Intentional mindfulness.
Yes.
I love this.
Yes.
So episode, you can cut that out. So I talked with Brittany and I talked to Kelly. I know you know Brittany.
Yes.
And we talked a lot about new love, new life, but healing and not being healed. Because I think people think that healed is perfectionism, which is not attainable. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. So what do you think about that terminology, healed and whole? Like, we're ever going to be healed with a period and whole with a period?
I think healing is a continuation. That's something we're always going to have to work on. We may find ourselves healing ourselves over and over and over again until we've got it, because certain things can trigger us and we thought we've healed that part. We may have put a Band-Aid over it. That does not necessarily mean it's healed. It's mean it's just paused or temporarily fixed. But when we truly look at a situation, there's always going to be aspects of ourselves that we can heal or can take another look into. So I think, again, healing is a continuation. We can strive to be whole. And even though we're unhealed, that doesn't necessarily mean we're not whole.
Absolutely. I had a blog, and when I talk about the candle line a lot, I always say I'm selling peace while in pieces.
Ooh.
Because a lot of people, when I ask them to do letters, they're like, I don't know if I'm over that. But it's a continuation. Like I'm not all the way there, but I can still tell my testimony, because where I am on my journey may just still be a blessing to someone else who didn't even get that far yet, even if I'm not all the way there.
Absolutely.
And I also love something that Erica said for the teen parents. She said it's light at the end of the tunnel. And it's, even if you have to create it yourself, you don't have to wait till you get to the end of the tunnel. You can poke holes in it. And I love that. Like, I love that.
Love that.
So, Jim,
Yes.
anything that you can say to our audience as your final takeaway as our resident therapist this season, what would it be?
My final takeaway, I would encourage you all to adopt your own version of Letters from My Mama. I feel like this platform is one of healing, it's one of growth. It is an excellent tool to help navigate life and experiences. And I think that's so important, especially during this time right now that the world is in. So yeah, that would be it.
I love it. And tell us how you can be reached. Tell us one more time how we can support Antsy Agatha.
Yes, so I can be reached on social media, Instagram, Jenny Lang, also Facebook, Jenny Lang, LinkedIn, Jennifer Langston. That's my name. Antsy Agatha is available everywhere online that books are sold. And Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target online, Walmart online.
I'm so proud of you. And I hope that you can hang with us for the rest of season 4 and the work that we do on like lives. And next season we're trying to travel. So just don't forget us, okay? Don't forget us when you
No, I would love to come back. This is amazing.
Thank you so much for being here. And guys, everybody that stayed to the end of the season, I'm so appreciative. If you love our work and what we're doing over here at Letters and you want to see more, please like, please share, comment, send it to everybody you know, and please donate because we're trying to go on tour next year. We want to be in all of your college campuses, spreading all the word that we can, starting all the hard conversations that we can. And just thank you so much for watching. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode of Letters from My Mama, please consider supporting us by subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a friend, and donating to Letters TV. Thanks for watching.